Eli Ward sat alone on the cold bench at the edge of the training ground. His uniform was too big, his boots too heavy, and his heart felt even heavier. Around him, alien cadets trained in pairs, shouting orders in strange languages, moving with speed and strength that Eli couldn't match. He was the only human in this year's intake at the Galactic Military Academy, and everyone knew it. No one spoke to him. No one even looked his way in, lest it was to laugh. "Hey, Earthling," a tall reptilian cadet called out one day. "How does it feel to be the weakest in the galaxy?" Eli didn't reply. He just looked down at his hands. Human hands, small, soft, and unimpressive. He didn't have claws or scales or built-in armor like the others. He didn't have psychic powers or strength enhancers either. No upgrades, no implants, nothing. He was just a rookie human. That evening, Commander Loren stood in front of the class with a clipboard in hand. "Tomorrow is Redditor control training. Each cadet will enter the cage. You will stand inside for 60 seconds. You are not to move, run, or attack. You must remain calm. We will observe your reaction and the predators." A low murmur spread through the group. The most dangerous creatures in the galaxy trained, but barely controlled. The test was designed to measure courage. Most cadets came out pale, shaking, or worse. When Eli's name was called the next morning, the room went silent. The instructors exchanged uncertain looks. One of them whispered, "He won't last 5 seconds." The cage door opened with a loud hiss. Beasts from the planet Varnak? Its body was covered in black spikes, its mouth opened sideways, dripping with acidic saliva. It turned its red eyes toward Eli and growled. Eli took a shaky step forward into the cage. The door shut behind him. The air smelled like blood and rust. He stood still. He didn't blink. The beast took 2 steps toward him, then stopped. Another step, then it froze. The growl stopped. Its eyes widened, and it backed away. Slowly, carefully, like a wild animal sensing a trap, everyone watching leaned forward. This had never happened before. The predator gave a low whimper and crouched in the corner. It wouldn't look at Eli. It wouldn't move. Commander Loren stood up. His voice was sharp. "Get him out of there." The door opened again, and Eli stepped out. He didn't understand what had just happened. He felt nothing, no fear, no power, just confusion. The instructors huddled together, speaking in low voices. "Is it real?" one asked. It reacted like it saw something worse than itself. "Do we report this?" Loren looked at Eli. "Not yet. Let's watch first." That night, Eli sat on his bed, staring at the ceiling. The lights flickered, distant but clear. "You are not alone," a voice said in his mind. "You were never just human." Eli sat up. "Who's there?" he asked out loud. No answer, only silence. The next day, everything felt different. Cadets didn't tease him. They watched him from a distance, whispering. Some avoided his gaze. A few even looked afraid. During breakfast, a cadet from the planet Ancora approached him, and glowing, she sat down carefully, as if afraid to be too close. "You carry something old," she said quietly. "I've seen it before, in stories, in nightmares." "What do you mean?" Eli asked. She didn't answer. She just stood and left. That afternoon, Eli was sent to medical for a random scan. He sat inside the machine while blue lights passed over his body. The technician frowned. This can't be right," he said, looking at the screen. "What is it?" Eli asked. "You have genetic code that shouldn't exist. Locked sequences, marked with military codes I've never seen. Your DNA is tagged Omega class. Do you know what that means?" Eli shook his head. "No, I don't even know why I'm here. Should not be here." Later that night, as Eli tried to sleep, he had a dream. In the dream, he was standing on a battlefield. The ground was made of ash and metal. Around him were giant alien beasts apex, predators from 100 worlds, but they didn't attack. They knelt. One by one, they lowered their heads and backed. Away in front of him stood a figure in black armor. Its face was covered, but Eli could feel its eyes. "You are the last one," the figure said. "They erased us, buried us, but you survived." Eli woke up in sweat. Shaking outside, someone was waiting. A tall alien in red uniform stood near his door. "Come with me," he said. "Why?" Eli asked. "No questions. You're being transferred." Eli followed him through the silent halls, moved out of the way. Some saluted, others turned their faces. They reached a dark chamber deep underground. Inside was Commander Loren. "You're not just a cadet," Loren said. Eli replied. "There was a war long ago," Loren said. "A secret war, against beings we called Omega Lords. They were human, but not like you or me. They had power over fear, over death. Monsters would run from them. Galaxies trembled. Then one day, they vanished. We thought they were extinct, the last of them." Eli shook his head. "That's not possible." Loren looked at him. "The question is, what will you do now?" Before Eli could speak, alarms sounded across the base. "Warning, unauthorized ship entering orbit, threat level." "Unknown," Loren turned. "They found you, and they're not here to welcome you back." Eli stood frozen. Something inside him moved, something deep and old. His eyes began to glow faintly, gold and silver swirls dancing in the dark. He whispered, "Not sure why. I remember now." The voice returned in his mind. Fear. The story was only beginning. Days passed. The alien ship never returned, but its brief visit had changed everything. Eli Ward was no longer a joke, no longer a weak rookie human in oversized boots. He was something else now. No one wanted to name out loud. Everywhere he walked, cadets moved aside. Some whispered, others stared. No one dared to make eye contact. Even instructors began acting different, friendlier, quieter, careful. Eli hated it. He didn't feel powerful. He didn't feel special. All he had were questions. A strange voice in his head that kept whispering. About a past he couldn't remember. Commander Loren called for him one morning. "You're being transferred," Loren said, not looking him in the eye. "Again?" Eli asked. "To where? A hidden station. Deep in the inner belt, you'll be tested. Not just physically, but mentally. If what we believe is true, we need to understand you before others do." "What if I refuse?" Loren sighed. "Then, you're a danger to everyone here. You scare predators, Eli. The Carzel ship didn't even fight. They just left. That doesn't happen. Ever." "I didn't mean to scare anyone, but you did, and that means something ancient is waking up." Eli agreed, though uneasily. A few hours later, he was on a small transport ship with a single Piloton AI unit that didn't speak much. The station was hidden in the rings of a dead planet called Gratha 6. From the outside, it looked like a mining facility, but inside, it was cold, silent, and heavily protected. Eli was taken to a special room round walls, silver lights, no windows. The air buzzed like static. 5 beings stood waiting. Not soldiers, scientists, but not ordinary ones either. Each had a scar across the left jaw mark Eli didn't understand. "Sit," one of them said. He did. "What do you remember about your past?" another asked. "Nothing strange, just Earth, school, training. I was average." "Until you weren't," the third one said. They began the tests. Lights blinked, sounds played, strange smells filled the air. They showed him images, ancient battlefields, alien cities, symbols that made his skin crawl. Some images made his heart race. Others brought tears to his eyes without reason. Then they gave him a strange object. It was a cube, smooth, cold, and black like obsidian. When he touched it, it melted into his palm and vanished. "What was that?" Eli asked. They didn't answer. Instead, one of them whispered to the others, confirmed. "Omega imprint accepted." Later that night, Eli sat alone in his small room. No voice came, just silence. He touched his chest where the cube had vanished. It pulsed faintly like a second heartbeat. The next morning, everything changed again. Alarms blared across the station. Soldiers ran through the halls. Lights flickered. Red Dot Eli opened his door to chaos. "Stay in your room," someone shouted, but Eli didn't listen. He moved toward the command deck. On the screens, a fleet of ships hovered outside the rings. But these weren't Carzel ships. They were different. Older, darker. "Who are they?" Eli asked. One scientist looked at him with wide eyes. "The Keepers. They were created to kill Omegas if they've returned. They sensed your awakening. The lights went out. All screens turned black except one. A face appeared, but it wasn't a face. Just a smooth metal mask with no eyes, no mouth, no features. The voice was like metal grinding on stone. He must be unmade. Shut the signal down. Someone shouted, "Too late!" The station shook. Gravity shifted. The keepers had fired a gravity spike meant to crush structures from the inside out. Eli fell to one knee. He couldn't breathe. The pressure was too much, but then the voice inside him returned. "Stand up." Eli gritted his teeth. His fingers dug into the floor. "They came for you, but they do not understand. You were not made to run." His body grew lighter. Even as the room seemed to collapse around him, he stood. The scientists stared. His eyes were silver again, this time brighter. The walls bent around him as if repelled. He walked to the center of the room and raised his hand. Energy crackled around his fingers. Outside, one of the keeper ships simply stopped moving. Then it cracked in half without a sound. The others began to retreat. One ship turned, then another. And just like that, the attackers fled. No war. No words, just fear. Inside the station, silence returned. Eli looked around. Everyone was still, eyes wide. One scientist stepped forward. "You didn't use a weapon." "I didn't need one," Eli said quietly. "You didn't even move." Someone whispered, "I don't think it was me," Eli replied. "I think it was something older inside me." Later, Loren's face appeared on the screen. He had watched everything from the academy. "You're no longer a cadet," he said. "You're a symbol now, and symbols attract attention." Eli leaned closer. "From who?" "Everyone. The keepers won't stop. The Carzel will return, and others older than them are already watching." Eli frowned. "What do I do now?" Loren's voice was steady. "You lead." That night, Eli didn't sleep. He sat by the window, staring at the stars. But not just stars. He could see something else. Now patterns in the darkness. Old paths, hidden forces. Something inside him understood them. He wasn't human anymore. Or maybe he never was. Far away, on a moon made of crystal, a council of silent figures stood around a glowing orb. The image of Eli appeared above it. One of them spoke in a voice older than time. "He has returned." Another replied, "And the balance will break again." The galaxy had forgotten fear, but fear had remembered them. The days that followed were quiet, but the kind of quiet that hides something dangerous beneath it. On the outside, the galaxy seemed calm. No more ships appeared, no new attacks came. But inside Eli Ward, the storm was only growing. He didn't sleep much anymore. He saw things, no visions of places he'd never visited. Cities made of stone and light, giant beasts with wings of fire, armies kneeling under black skies. Always the same figure standing at the center. Him, but not him. Another version, stronger, colder, silent. He didn't know if they were memories or warnings. Inside the hidden station, the staff had stopped testing Eli. They no longer asked questions. Now, they simply watched. From a distance, with caution, he had his own room, larger than before. No locks, no guards. But Eli knew he was still a prisoner. One morning, he woke to find a strange figure standing by the door. It wasn't a soldier or a scientist. It was a woman, human, dressed in dark gray robes, her hair tied back, eyes sharp, and still. "You're finally awake," she said. Eli stood up slowly. "Who are you?" "Someone like you," she replied. He looked her up and down. "Omega," she gave a small smile. "Once. Where have you been?" "Hiding," she said simply, "waiting for the next one. That's you." Eli stepped closer. "You knew this would happen?" "We all did. The galaxy can't stay asleep forever." Eli folded his arms. "Why now?" "Because the old powers are rising again. The Keepers, the Carzel, even worse things, creatures born from silence, not matter. They feel it. You woke the storm." He sat down. "I didn't ask to. You don't get to ask," she said. "Omegas never did." She walked to the window, looking out at the stars. "There used to be many of us," she said softly. "Not gods, not monsters, just protectors. We were made to keep balance. When things went too far, we reminded the galaxy what fear meant. But power corrupts. Even us. What happened? We turned on each other. Some wanted peace, others wanted control. Civil war burned across the stars, and in the end, we buried ourselves so the galaxy could breathe. And now I'm what's left, Eli said. She nodded, maybe not for long. Eli raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? She turned to face him. You're not the only one waking up. Before he could ask more, alarms sounded across the station. This time, the fear was different, deeper. It wasn't an attack, it was something worse, an awakening. The scientists ran through halls. Loren's voice came over the intercom. Unknown? Surge detected in the Delta Quadrant. Massive energy spike. We're tracing it now, then static. Eli and the woman looked at each other. I felt it too, he whispered. She nodded. Another Omega, or something close. They moved quickly. A ship was waiting small fast, built for stealth. The woman flew while Eli watched the stars. He could feel it somewhere out there, a pull like a magnet, a beacon calling him. What do we do if it's one of us? Eli asked. We listen, she said. And if it's not, then we run. He joked. She gave him a look. Omegas don't run. The ship dropped out of warp near a red dwarf star. A station floated nearby, abandoned, broken, half of it missing. It came from there, she said, scanning, but no life signs. Eli closed his eyes. Something is still inside. They docked, entered carefully. The halls were dark. Silent Eli felt the pressure growing with each step. The air felt heavy. Then they reached the center, a cryo chamber, old cracked dot inside. A figure floated taller than Eli, wrapped in armor, face hidden behind a broken mask. As they approached, the figure opened its eyes. Silver, just like Eli's. They turned red dot. The woman stepped back. No, that's not Omega. The chamber hissed and opened. The figure fell forward, landing on one knee, coughing. Then it looked up. You woke me, he said, voice low, broken. Eli stepped closer. Who are you? The figure smiled darkly. I was like you once before I chose the other path. What path? The one where we stop hiding, where we rule. His name was Kale. He had been an Omega centuries ago, but one of the fallen. The kind who believed fear should not just protect, but control. I've waited long enough, Cal said, and now you've given me the signal I needed. Eli frowned. I didn't give you anything. You did, Cal replied. The Carzel, the Keepers. They came because you glowed so brightly, and when they came, I woke. The woman stepped forward. You'll be stopped, Kale. Kale's eyes narrowed. By who? Him. He looked at Eli. You're new, untrained, still afraid of yourself. But I have no fear left. Eli stepped forward. Maybe, but I'm not alone. Kale grinned. No, you're not. He pressed something on his chest. A pulse spread through the room. Suddenly, alarms rang inside their ship. The woman checked the scanner. He signaled a fleet. They rushed back to the ship, but Kale didn't follow. He stood inside the station, arms raised, outside. 6 ships appeared, black, silent, marked with the same red symbol on Kale's chest. He has followers, she said. Omegas like him. Eli stared at the ships. He could feel their presence gold. Sharp, ancient. They've been hiding, he whispered. And now they're coming back, she said. For me. It jumped into warp before the ships could fire. But the message was clear. Kale was rising, and he wasn't alone. Back at the hidden station, Loren stood by the monitors, face pale. He's alive? The screen showed Kale standing in the broken station, now lit by red light. Yes, came the answer from a scientist. And he's coming. Loren looked up at the stars. We need allies, he said, before the galaxy becomes theirs. Again, in his room, Eli sat in silence. The woman, whose name was Nira, watched him. You okay? She asked. No, he said honestly, but I think I'm ready. Ready for what? For war. The Omega War had begun. The skies above 10 worlds changed overnight. Planets that hadn't seen conflict in decades suddenly went dark. Communications stopped, trade routes vanished. Patrols sent to investigate never returned. Kale's fleet was on the move. He didn't attack cities, he didn't drop bombs. He landed and watched. And the people knelt. The galaxy was remembering. Eli Ward stood on the observation deck of the Allied command ship, Hylian 3, staring at the stars. His eyes no longer shone all the time, but the power behind them was awake. Her robes moved slightly in the breeze of recycled air. They're not afraid of Kale, Eli said softly. No, she replied. They're afraid of what he promises. What's that? Control? Safety? Order through fear? People remember the dark times, and some want them back. Eli turned, and I'm supposed to stop that. You're not just supposed to, you're meant to. Below, the command center buzzed with activity. New species had joined the fight. Old enemies now stood together. Aliens, who once hunted humans, now guarded them. Not because of kindness, because of Eli. Because the enemy they now faced had no borders, no hunger, no politics, only power. Suddenly, the screen blinked red. Incoming transmission. Open space. Source unknown. The image appeared. Got Kale. His armor was darker now, glowing with crimson lines. His eyes no longer just red. They burned. Hello, brother, he said, voice calm. I'm not your brother, Eli replied coldly. Kale smiled. Oh, but you are. You and I are the same, born from the same fire, made by the same fear. Only difference is, I accepted it, you used it, I mastered it. Kale leaned closer to the screen. You can still join me. Together, we can end all this noise, the weak fighting the strong, the galaxy pretending it's fair. Let them kneel. Let them... Remember, Eli didn't answer right away. Then he said, they'll remember something else. Kale laughed softly. We'll see. The transmission ended. Loren entered the command deck. His face was tense. He's already moving. 3. Systems just fell. No violence. People just surrendered. He's spreading fear. And it's working, Naira added. The more they fear him, the stronger he becomes. Eli turned away from the window. Then we take the fear back. A plan formed quickly. Kale's next target was the planet Zareth. A neutral world, untouched by wars, known for its peace treaties and technology trade. Eli, Naira, and a hand-picked team of mixed-species fighters would land before Kale's forces arrived. They would show the people something they hadn't seen in a long time. Hope. The dropship touched down just outside the city. Eli walked ahead of the others. No armor, no weapons, just presence. The people came out slowly, nervously. Some backed away, some stared. A child stepped forward. You? Are you the one? The monsters won't fight. Eli knelt. I'm the one who won't let them hurt you. The crowd grew. Word spread fast. That night, when Kale's ships entered orbit, they didn't find a frightened city. They found people standing firm, not running, not bowing, just watching. Waiting, Kale stood on the bridge of his ship, eyes narrowed. Who told them they could resist? A soldier replied. They said, the Omega walks with them. Kale's voice was cold. Then we show them what fear really looks like. The skies over Zareth cracked open as Kale descended alone. No army, just him. Eli stepped out to meet him in the open square. The wind was sharp dust blew between them. I gave them peace, Eli said, without fire, without blood. Kale raised a hand. You gave them lies. Fear never left it, only slept. He stepped forward. Let's remind them. The ground shook. A surge of energy blasted from Kale's body, a wave of pure emotion. People around the city fell to their knees, crying, shaking, some screaming. But Eli remained standing. He closed his eyes and answered. A pulse of his own power spread, calmer, lighter, but just as strong. Where Kale's fear froze, Eli's presence warmed. Where Kale crushed, Eli lifted. People began to rise. Kale's eyes widened. No, he said. That's not how this works. Eli opened his eyes. Silver. Bright. You forgot something, Eli said. Fear can't control those who have hope. The two powers collided. The square exploded in light. Nira and the others pulled the citizens back as energy crackled between the two Omegas. Kale struck. Fast and brutal. Eli blocked with only a glance. He wasn't trained. He didn't need to be. The power inside him wasn't made for war. It was made to end it. Kale lunged, shouting, You were made to rule. Eli stepped aside. Calm, still. I was made to protect. Then, with one final burst of light, Eli touched the ground. Everything stopped. Silence. The dust settled. Kale lay on the ground, armor cracked, breathing hard. He looked up. How did you? I didn't fight you, Eli said softly. I reminded them they could choose. Around them, people stood no longer afraid. Kale looked at the faces. and for the first time in centuries, he felt small. Lauren's voice came through the "Come, we're clear. Kale's forces are pulling back. They've lost their grip." Kale struggled to his feet. "I'll return," he hissed. Eli looked at him. "Not as long as they remember who they are." Kale disappeared into the sky. Later, as the sun rose, Naira stood beside Eli. "You ended it," she said. "For now," he replied. Naira smiled. "You gave the galaxy something we never could." "What?" "Freedom without fear." Eli looked at the people rebuilding around them, children playing, families smiling. "I didn't do it alone," he said. "No Omega ever should." As the stars turned above, somewhere in the galaxy, older forces stood watching, waiting. But this time, the galaxy would not kneel, because the Omega had not just returned, he had changed the meaning of power forever.